Well, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us, members of the media, all interested parties. I don't have to tell you that we're in the midst of a drought. I don't have to tell you any of that. I mean, we've all been talking about it on our various platforms over quite some time. And I've always been of the view that, yes, we need to talk about what's not been done. But if we continue talking about what's not been done, and we don't focus on what needs to be done, we're all going to be visiting trucks surrounded by the army collecting water. And I don't think any of us wants that, right? So on our show, on our morning show on CapeTalk, what I've done, and I said to the team as well, we need to look forward. Yes, we'll ask the tough questions about why you didn't do anything sooner, but let's encourage people to come up with solutions. And it was one morning, I was sitting, doing my thing as I normally do with my ADD, looked at my inbox, and a familiar name popped up in my inbox, and it was from Professor Tinus Boyson. Now, we'd been chatting to Tinus for quite some time, as a matter of fact, over years. Yourself and the team at Stellenbosch University, Tinus, you've seen this drought coming a long time ago, because that's what clever people at universities can do. They can see these things coming. And I opened this up, and he was talking to us about a particular case study. They've developed a particular device. He's not going to go into too much of the detail of the tech, because I think people are more interested in the outcomes. And he was talking about the impact that this particular device had had on a particular school. We then took that to air. I think we've had more than one conversation around it. And as they say, the rest is history. Because we've also had a very good relationship with the Shoprite group, and I think Peter will tell that particular story later. So I'm just going to introduce everybody here. On my right, and they're all on my right, so this here is Professor Tinus Boyson. He's a senior lecturer in the Department of Electrical and Electronic Engineering at Stellenbosch University. The handsome man next to him is Peter Engelbrecht. He's the CEO of the Shoprite Group. Peter, great having you here.
Thank you.
And the man who's been reaping a lot of the benefits, his school, the behavioral changes he's going to be talking about as well, is Mike Mavavana, who's the principal of Hector Peterson Secondary. So great having all of you here. So this is not the Kino Kami show. I'm going to hand over to you. Tinus, let's start with you. And you know, the initial realization of the problem, and then let's work our way to where we are today and the solution that you're providing.
Okay, let's start with, I think you rightly say that we saw the drought coming for a long time now, but what I can also see at the moment is a lot of work coming, so that's good. We can do something about it. I'm actually not a water expert at all, and this is something that we've changed course, and I think that's important for universities to realize that you need to be adaptable and you need to adjust to the needs around you. It's something that the University of Stellenbosch at least feel very strongly about, that we need to serve the communities around us. So we were working on transport, and that's where we started talking about minibus taxis as well. So we've had quite a few discussions, and then we moved our focus to this drought. And when we started looking at water metering, we were actually trying to leverage the cost of electricity with geyser controllers to then make people aware of water consumption. But as time went on, we realized, coming from a university perspective as well, we were way too technical and way too complicated to get things rolling. So in the process of measuring water, we had a great idea, and it worked at the first school. And then we just didn't know where to go. And that's really where CapeTalk came in. So first of all, Kino, thank you very much to you for just giving us the exposure and allowing us to share the news and get other people involved. In fact, John Matham and also Koketso Sechane, they both also gave us a platform to work from. So that was wonderful. Thank you very much. And then from there, it's been a very big team effort. We've really worked very hard in the last few months to get things up and running. But then with the support of great principals like Mr. Mavavana, we've been able to achieve quite a bit of savings. So it's been a nice journey, and glad to be part of it.
Let's chat about your first foray into a school. It's one thing to have a particular device and to come up with a solution, but you have to test it, right? So let's talk about the initial testing that you've done.
So the initial testing was done. We were trying to make this thing work because we knew we had to save water, and we didn't really find the right application. We sold quite a few devices. I think we sold 50 water meters, and then quickly realized this is going to be impossible because every household wants one. We were getting emails that just flooded our inboxes, and then realized we had to go up to scale. So we learned the hard way to go up to scale, and then coincidentally, one morning I walked up to my my daughter's principal and said, "What's your water bill per month?" And I was blown away. The amounts was just astonishing. So we tried it there, and to be honest, I think we spent about 60,000, 70,000 rand trying to figure out exactly where to measure, what to measure, how to engage, and everything. So that's first school. We paid all our school geld, as they say. We had to learn quite a bit. But when we had it running for one school and we were able to achieve the savings through communicating the consumption in the right way to the children, it was quite easy to take it further to where we are now with the 6 schools with the financial support of Shoprite.
Yeah, and I think it's more than the technology, driving the saving. I think there's messaging, but we will get into that a bit later. I just want to move over to Peter Engelbrecht, who is obviously the Group CE's head of the Shoprite Group. Peter, we've had lots of dealings with the group. Shoprite Group, always very proactive, always, at the forefront of getting things done. So let's talk a little bit about your introduction to the work that Tinus is doing.
Yeah, you're quite right. Shoprite are a company that executes. We don't like to debate long. We test and we fail fast. And we did our own initiatives originally. We were probably one of the very first corporates to engage with the mayor of Cape Town, explain what we're doing. Of course, being in food retail, I mean, you can't cook without water. So we are a fairly high consumption client. So we immediately had to address our own space. And a lot of things have been done. I did mention earlier, if you see some of our trucks not so clean, it's because we can't wash them every day. We had to cut down on the washing of that as an example. The other simple, and there's a lot of simple measures that you can take, like we put bricks in our toilet tanks and immediately you save at least 5 or 6 liters of water on every flush. And when we got to the end of that, and I must maybe mention that that's also a benefit of having multiple schools, is that we have almost 300 sites out in Metropole, so we got a lot of data. So immediately we can spot, and that's where this meter device comes in, is you can spot immediately when something is out of sync. And there's an overconsumption, or there might be a leak, or so, and you can investigate. And if it's maintenance, you can fix it. That's where the relationship with Pragma comes in, and it's the same that we'd love to get the schools to. So when we got to the end of that, and we think we have made quite a substantial saving already, Adela overheard this interview of yours with Tinus. So she came to the office, was very excited, said, here we can go to the next level. And it's all part of us really trying this year to get the message across that Shoprite is not only about making money. Yes, what we do is a consequence of money is a consequence of what we do. But we are a business of heart. We've got this program, Act for Change, and the corporate social investment team was extremely excited about this because there's multiple messages in this. It's the behavior change where it's needed the most, children.
Yeah.
It's the fact that this is not a handout kind of program. The fact that people will learn, children will learn, that if I change my behavior and I do something positively, then there's something good in for me. Like there's a reward for what I've done. And that was proven quite clearly with the Hector Peterson example. I'm probably as excited about the fact that we've saved in that school. We went down from 47,000 liters a day consumption to 13,000 liters a day. We expect, and that, what I was saying is what I'm more excited about even, or equally, is the 50,000 rand a month that the school is now saved to do other things with. Maybe get another teacher, buy a cricket bat, feed children. I mean, exactly. The benefit is not only the fact that we are extending day zero. Hopefully that never happens. But it's not only the fact that we save water. It's the behavior change. It's a saving for the school, and it's the message that goes around, go back to the parents' houses, and hopefully the whole of society benefits out of it. That's what's exciting to Shoprite.
I just want to mention
go
one
for
thing
it.
quickly. We're actually down to 9,000 for the last 2 weeks.
Gee.
9,000 per day, so it's even more now.
So that's even a, so
Wow.
before I talk about, because obviously if you're doing that well at Hector Peterson, if this thing is replicated, the impact it'll have will be absolutely phenomenal, right? But Mike, let's talk about the school and how this interaction, the technology, but also the engagement with the learners. Just talk us through that particular process and how the school grew along with, the savings that you were trying to drive.
Thank you very much. I think starting with myself as a principal, I don't think I was very much aware of the water crisis until Professor Boysen came into the school to introduce the project. It's only then, I think, for me, the penny dropped. And then once the meter was installed, and with the reports that we're getting almost every day, and reading the savings that we're actually making. So I started becoming aware that there is a problem, and that information was then cascaded to the staff and also the learners. In the assembly, we've got assembly every Friday. So we inform the learners about the water crisis and what we need to do as a school community in terms of saving the water.
Talk a little bit about how you engage those learners, because I think we all know if you've got kids old enough, they bring whatever they get taught at home and they drive change at home as well, because they're the ones who say, Dad, you're not wearing your seatbelt, or why are you flushing the toilet every 5 minutes? You shouldn't be doing that. So how did you get the messaging across to them? How did you drive it home?
Let's make an example. For instance, students would easily drink directly from the tap. If they drink directly from the tap, the water is flowing. But if they use a container, either a mug or a bottle, that saves the water. The same applies in the toilets. If there is any leakage, I must be honest, we're not aware of the breakages in our toilets up until the project started. And then the professor will report that, Mike, there's something flowing in your school. What's going on? Go and check. I was wondering, where is he getting this from? Because every minute will phone me and say, Mike, there's a problem. Go and check. Up until I engaged with the app myself and I realized, okay, he's able to see what's going on in the school every minute. So the non-teaching staff also was aware that we need to check every morning. So they picked up that there were leakages in our toilets, and gratefully from Shoprite and University of Stellenbosch, they came to fix those. And we started being aware that we need to save water in any way there is possible.
And you've also saved money, which means you've got a much happier school governing body, and you're able to do more with it. Talk a bit about what you did, or what you're able to do now.
We are a non-fee paying school.
Yeah.
We depend on what's coming from the government. So any saving that we can get from the school, we'll be able to use that, because we can redirect that money into other projects. Like we have just introduced e-learning, so we can redirect that money into buying more computers and opening up more access for the learners.
Okay, great. So it's wonderful to see. Yes, you can if you want to. There we go. Really awesome. So I'm sure a lot of people are going, yeah, but how much does a solution like this cost? Because it's not just putting in the metering. It's also about acting. Because it's one thing to say, hey, there's a leak, and then it runs for the next couple of years and there's absolutely no saving. So Pragma plays a very important role as well here, Peter. Let's talk about the cost, because it's, yes, the metering, but it's also the management and the maintenance of this particular system. What does it cost per school? Maybe you should do this.
Okay,
Tinus, per school, what does it cost to actually have a system like that in place?
Yes, so we've been at 6 schools now, and as I think it was at Hector Peterson, we've spent 17,000 just on maintenance. So we've replaced a valve, replaced 20 toilets, flushing mechanisms, because they were just running all the time without stop. And then what we also charge is the service to get this thing on the cloud, and for the hardware, and to check and to notify. It's roughly 10,000 Rand per year. So in total, it's 30,000 Rands per year per school, but then the payback period is basically 2 weeks. So after 2 weeks, they saved enough water to pay back for that investment. So the ROI is pretty quick. Can I just also mention the product is called Dropula now?
Dropula?
Yes. Whether you like it or not, that's what we're doing.
Who does your naming? No, I love it. No, it's cool. It's really, it's quite cute, actually. Count Dropula. And I mean, you're obviously doing this through your through a business that's been set up as well.
Yes,
hey?
through the university. So the University of Stellenbosch is set up really well to commercialize anything that comes out of the university. We're actually one of the leaders in the world of commercializing, especially in the European and the African model, of commercializing ideas that emanate from the university. So we've set up a company, a spin-off called Bridgiot. Unfortunately, I chose that name as well. And that's, that would not have flown without the support of the private investment, as I've said, but the university has been instrumental in setting that up and getting the red tape out of the way. As you always talk about startups as well, red tape is enormous in getting a startup running. So the university, through its tech transfer office called Innovis, they've saved us a lot of effort in getting that thing running.
Red's not necessarily a bad color.
No,
because there's no tape involved there. Peter, let's go to you, because you anything but red tape. You get things done, as you were saying, as the Shoprite group. So it's all about scale. It's all about the impact. So it's one thing to look at one school and go, hey, great, you've committed to something. Tell us about that.
Yes, we did the pilot. Not that we didn't believe the professor, but we like to verify.
That's a good thing.
So we selected Hector Peterson. It's close by our home office in Wallacedene in Kraaifontein or Brackenfell. And I was blown away by the results. And as I mentioned earlier, the benefits are not only about the saving of the water, which is great. So a dealer came to me and said, but okay, here's the results. We now have to do something, because we've done internally what we can in terms of our own business. You said we business with heart, what are we going to do? And I said, we need to make an impact. We have to do 100 schools.
Brilliant.
So we're going to do 100 schools as quick as we can get them up and running. And those savings, we estimate, will be in excess of 1 million litres a day. And to put it in context, we currently use in the Cape Metropole 600,000 litres a day. 600 million litres a day. It's not coming down. So people don't really realize that the problem is not getting better, and it doesn't mean that when you open a tap and the water flows that it will be there forever. So if we put it in context, that million litre a day would put day zero out by 3 minutes a day, or by 1.5 hours a month. And if we can get this multiplied, we've got 1,500 stores in the metropole in this drought area. If we can get more of those schools on, it can do and make a serious difference in terms of how long we can push day zero and hopefully get rain in between.
And I think it's phenomenal. I don't know what you guys think about it, but I think it's amazing that you know, you're essentially a tech startup, whether you like it or not, right? And I always talk about tech startups and how big business can work together with innovative small businesses to actually drive impact. And that's exactly what you're doing. So well done. Absolutely. So does anybody want to add anything else? Because I want to open it up to the floor, and there's some key questions here. But
I want to say, jump something really quick. We've been knocking on government doors for a very long time without success, and what Shoprite has done through this Act for Change investment is it's also enabled us to engage further with government, and we are in serious talks to expand this even further. So that private investment, it also opened up the opportunity to work with government. So we hope to be able to announce something soon with that as well.
That's great. As a well-known man would go, that's huge, very huge. We had a question. If you can just introduce yourself. And Nicola? There we go. Nicola, well, yeah, journalist. Did you have a question?
Yes, I do.
Okay, there we go. Go for it. There's the mic.
Hi, sorry, Monique Duval, Daily Voice. Just one question. How does this device actually work? And what does the infrastructure consist of in terms of installation at the school?
Right, so the installation is a very small electronic device that latches onto an existing municipal meter. So the main supply that goes to the school gets this electronic device in, and this thing reports in every minute, reports into our servers, which then gives you the visibility of every single minute since this thing is installed to go back and look at the consumption. So if something happens that's out of the ordinary, you immediately know. We send text messages and email messages to the principals or the deputy. I think Mavavana must have 100 messages from me personally saying, please go and do that, please do this, please instruct them to do this, or something out of the ordinary has happened. So that's the essence of it. It's about really quickly giving feedback to the consumer so that they can relate behavior to expense. It's closing that loop. It's just linking the two in a short period of time.
Any other questions? I know Tanya is probably going to want to put the camera in your face somewhere and do a one-on-one interview. Hello, Tanya Neft. Good seeing you. Any other questions out there?
You know, but probably you must say that there's an app which will be visible.
Yeah.
Also on the Shoprite website, we will list those schools, and everybody can go see the data. It's almost like blockchain. The data is visible to everybody, and we can measure the schools. We can see how much they're saving, and we're hoping that enough data we can bring it down to a single measurement, which is how much does a school consume per learner, because that's universal. You can't measure 1,500 school with a 100 pupil school. So that's the idea, is that the more data we get, the more clever the system by itself will become.
And the more schools you get involved, you can almost gamify this thing to drive change as well, which is you can get the schools to go up against each other. Absolutely, and I think it's phenomenal. And the fact that anybody could really go. You can just introduce yourself. I know you're with the Cape Argus.
Hi, Marvin Charles, Cape Argus. I just want to find out, can you tell us a bit about the schools that you're going to be rolling the project out to?
Okay, we engaged with the department. They assisted us to identify the top 100 consumption schools, and we've gone for them. Obviously, if we're trying to go where we can make the biggest change. So that's where we started, and that's how the 100 was selected.
Any other questions? And I do see Paddy sitting here. There will be other announcements, so I'm not going to make any of those now. There will be other announcements. There's some interesting things happening in this particular space. I'd just like to say that it's important, and I think this shows our partnerships can really, really, really assist one to get out of a crisis. And so for me, it's absolutely phenomenal. Any other comments from that?
Let me also add, we had to calculate for this dashboard that we put up this morning, which lists all the schools and shows everybody the real-time information of all the schools. Firstly, we've included 2 or 3 schools that are really conservative with water consumption to gamify it and to shame some of the other schools into complying. And Hector Peterson is actually outperforming some of those schools at the moment. But the other thing I wanted to mention is that we've saved in excess of 5 million litres of water already just through the few schools that we have online. We had to calculate that this morning.
It's really great. Mr. Mamavana, would you like to make a comment?
No, I think at the school we're very proud to be associated with Shoprite, because their intervention has meant so much for us as a school in terms of water saving, in terms of financial saving, and also in terms of learner change, in terms of the behavior. So without the intervention, obviously the intervention from the university. And I must really commend the patience of the prof, like you're saying, every afternoon you will remind me, Mike, please make sure. And therefore I feel the commitment of the school management is also very important in making sure that the project is actually successful at the end of the day.
Are a lot of those learners taking it home as well?
Yes.
That's great.
And I can also attest to the Shoprite saying they've got heart. I know that's just words coming from the CEO, but I was blown away by how committed they've been to making this change. I mean, Wendy has worked with us and really engaged, and it's quite obvious that they would like to make a change. It's not just words. And I've been surprised by that, pleasantly surprised.
No, indeed. Right, if there are no other questions, I think we'll unleash the journalists on you one-on-one if they want to do interviews. Any other comments from anybody else in the room, just in terms of what you've heard here today? And if you all like what you heard, you can clap. All right, there we go. And I think that pretty much ends the press conference today. As I said, Tinus, Peter, Mike, they are available to chat if you want to. And I just want to thank all of you for actually taking the time, making time available to actually come and hear, this about this amazing project. And trust me, much more will be revealed at some stage. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.